The newspaper must provide for the reader the objectively selected facts. But, in these days of complex news, it must provide more, it must supply interpretation, the meaning of the facts. This is the most important assignment confronting American journalism, to make clear to the reader the problems of the day, to make international news as understandable as community news, to recognize that there is no longer any such thing as local news, because any event in the international area has a local reaction in terms of our very way of life. There is in journalism a widespread view that, when you embark on interpretation, you are entering dangerous waters of conflicting opinions. This is nonsense. The opponents of interpretation insist that the writer and the editor should confine himself to the facts. This insistence raises two questions: what are the facts? And, are the bare facts enough? As to the first question, consider how a so-called factual story comes about. The reporter collects, say 50 facts. Out of these 50, his space allotment being necessarily restricted, he selects the 10 which he considers most important. This is judgment number 1. Then he or his editor decides which of these 10 facts should constitute the introductory section of a news story. This is an important decision because many readers do not proceed beyond the first paragraph. This is judgment number 2. Then the chief editor determines whether the article should be presented on page 1, where it has a large impact, or on page 24, where it has little. Judgment number 3. Thus, in the presentation of a so-called factual or objective story, at least 3 judgments are involved. And they are judgments not at all unlike those involved in interpretation, in which reporter and editor arrive at a conclusion as to the significance of the news. The two areas of judgment, presentation of the news and its interpretation, are both objective rather than subjective processes, as objective, that is, as any human being can be. If an editor is intent on presenting the news from a particular point of view, he can do it in other ways and more effectively than by interpretation. He can do it by the selection of those facts that support his own idea. Or he can do it by promoting a story to page 1 or dismissing it on page 30.